two-legged, and to help us come up with ideas shared together of how to develop wellness and how to be together and how to take care of each other and how to hold each other up. Grandmothers and grandfathers and spirits of the four directions called Chutin, Great Spirit, Great Mystery. Hold each of us now. Help each of us to connect our hearts and our mind. Let us all open also to the energies of the women who gather together to allow the creation of these ideas that you're about to see presented. Open your heart to that place of knowing that's deep within you. We've each been born with the recipe we need to heal ourselves. We need merely to access the memories of it. It is there. Let this presentation be the beginning of your journey, or at the very least, support the journey that you've been on. Water is life. Water is at the center of this journey that you're about to go on. Watch over each one of us. Watch over our brothers and sisters who are struggling, who have forgotten who they are, who are entrenched in violence and addiction. Help them to remember. Help them to remember that they matter, and that they were little babies at one time, and that they came through the water into this earth. Help them to remember who they are and bring them back to the circle. And help each one of us to embrace them and to adopt these ways of supporting our healing and supporting one another. Watch over Val, Carrie Val, as she presents this. Watch over each one of us and help us to absorb and understand what we're about to see. All my relations. What?
Thank you, Elder Sheila, for those wonderful words that touched my spirit. So first of all, I would like us to remember all those that have gone on before us, the ones that we left behind, that were left behind, the missing and murdered, those from residential schools, and those we've lost to HIV and AIDS. I acknowledge the unceded ancestral traditional territories, lands, and waters of the Coast Salish, where I connect my body, mind, spirit, and heart, and where I'm speaking from today. I honor the Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish, and Musqueam nations. We acknowledge all the ancestral traditional lands and waters across Turtle Island, where we work, play, live, and learn. We honor and respect the Kwantlen ancestral traditional lands and waters, where we connected our bodies, minds, spirits, and hearts to do our work. Kwe, welcome. My name is Valerie Nicholson, or my GST name. The name given to me 4 days after my birth is the one the eagles watch over. I was gifted the name Nodiwenda, which means wolf eyes, from my Dene family, and Auntie from the Torres Strait Islanders. I am Mi'kmaq, Haida, Gypsy, and UK Islander descent, and this is our presentation. Everyone belongs to a tribe, and this is our tribe. Honoring our tribe, we had 6 Indigenous HIV positive women from many different nations, all living on the Coast Salish unceded traditional ancestral lands. The guides of our tribe was Angela, our principal investigator, a true ally. Becky, she goes by Probco, which is our provincial coordinator, also a true ally. Elder Sheila Nyman, her body knows a thing or two about a thing or two. And Debbie Cardinal, a peer Indigenous research associate. I would like to say thank yous to Elder Joan from Joan's Happy Baskets, Nilu, the CHIWOS team, the Springbrook staff, Shanoa, and to all of you for taking this journey. I would like now to ask Angela to speak to our herstory.
Thank you so much, Val. And really, it is such a pleasure and honor to see so many familiar faces on this call, to see your names here. And thank you to Carrie and the organizers for inviting us to be the first group to share our work. I do want to start by thanking Elder Sheila and Valerie for opening us in such a beautiful way. But I also want to situate us in today, what's happening today, which is to explicitly acknowledge that racial injustice is a critical determinant of health and has devastating effects on health and well-being of Black, Indigenous, and other marginalized people of color, to acknowledge that Canada's history of settler colonialism harms and continues to harm Indigenous people. So let me just express my sincere gratitude for all those protesting and activating around protesting racial injustice and police brutality across Turtle Island and around our world. And because this acknowledgement is actually very deeply connected to the genesis of CHIWOS-PAW and the work that we're so thrilled to present to you today. And my role right now is really to explain that some of the acronyms that you're seeing on all of our materials. And the first one is CHIWOS-PAW. So CHIWOS stands for the Canadian HIV Women's Sexual and Reproductive Health Cohort Study. You can see why we needed a really nice acronym to capture that. And CHIWOS is Canada's largest community collaborative cohort study by, with, and for women living with HIV. The term PAW, P-A-W, was gifted to us actually by Keisha Larkin, and it stands for Positive Aboriginal Women. And so CHIWOS-PAW as a study is a strengths-based study where we're focused on the health of Indigenous women living with HIV and how they understand and experience their own health and healthcare, learning from traditional ways of knowing and traditional ways of healing. So we undertook this study under the visionary leadership of Valerie Nicholson, with the support of the team that Val has already introduced you to. And the study emerged from a place of knowing that Indigenous women here, and particularly in BC, really experience very high rates of HIV and very high consequences. But very little work is done where Indigenous women living with HIV are leading the response to that work. And we fail to recognize the expertise and the need to do so. So that was the genesis of CHIWOS-PAW work here in BC. And what we did is we recruited and enrolled Indigenous women living with HIV from Coast Salish Territories into the study, participated in a 4-day land-based retreat in a beautiful setting together, where Val led us through a series of arts-based and sharing circle exercises to explore, unpack, discuss Indigenous women living with HIV's experiences of health, with the support and guidance of Elder Sheila and Indigenous ceremony throughout. So I won't do any more spoilers, but I did want to give everybody an overview of why we know it was such important work, how grateful we are to the leadership and vision of Valerie, who's going to take us through this water journey together. So Val, let me turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Angela, and thank you very much to Keisha for PAW. So our fireside chat is about to start, and on this journey we'll be sharing how we use ceremony, indigenizing our research, strength and art-based, and how health is connected with nature. Water connects us all. Water is a living thing, a spiritual entity with life-giving forces. The first relationship that we have with water is that with our life giver. We come from water. We are months in water, approximately 8 to 10 months. And women are especially strong in spirit during their moon time, as the moon cycles the waters. Water is one of the first medicines given to us by the Creator. Water is the lifeblood of Mother Earth. And just like the blood runs through our veins, water runs through Mother Earth. Water is a living entity. Water is sacred. water is medicine. A teaching from my grandfather was of the relationship between water and all living things. Creator made the water so all could have life. Creator also knew that some would not be able to find water, so the Creator gave water movement. Water would find its own journey and take on many different forms, have memory and spirit. And I thank my grandfather. And from the Assembly of the First Nations honoring water, they said, our sacred water teaches us that we can have great strength to transform even the tallest mountain while being soft, pliable, and flexible. Many nations across Turtle Island believe the earth to be their mother and the waters to be like the blood that runs in our veins. The oceans, streams, rivers, lakes, ponds, and seas provide life to everything on Mother Earth. And in this picture, you can see that relationship. New knowledge is old knowledge to new people. Thank you, grandfather, for those words. We are now going to share our process. And the process is a journey, and this is our journey. Listening to our ancestors. The teachings from an elder that I was with recently, Elder Sean, is that we do not have ideas or concepts. They have already been put down by our ancestors for us to pick up. The idea I picked up was a journey into healthcare and the relationship, if there was one, between traditional Western medicines and how this is navigated. Many words and symbols came to me and were held on whiteboards. I had an idea to use the medicine wheel, and doing much searching and research and asking, I found that there were many different types of medicine wheels, the teachings being different, but very similar. Some nations use different colors and are in different orders, and some nations do not use the medicine wheel at all. Going back to what my grandfather taught me, medicine wheels were rocks put on Mother Earth with many different messages, teaching balance of life, the seasons, directions, showing where grandfather sun would go, grandmother moon, father sky, and position of the stars. My grandfather also taught me to be very fluid. So I went back to the old ways, and being from water and around water, our Salish Sea, the water medicine wheel was now seen. Our first form of communication was drawing on cave walls or in the sand or dirt. When we didn't know someone else's dialect or language, we used pictures. Basing our work on the 7 sacred teachings of humility, courage, respect, love, wisdom, truth, and honesty, and using visual ways of doing, this kept our work in a good way. Whoops. We came to our overarching question: how do Indigenous women living with HIV in the Coast Salish Territories understand their health and well-being through traditional ways of knowing? From the questions, we created our collective canvases, and I see one is missing somehow, but we will see that later on. And each woman was given a blank canvas for her own individual work and to take home. I would like to thank Nilu for taking the visions from my head and painting the collective canvas backgrounds. Okay, something is very going wrong here. I am going to.
Are we supposed to be seeing a slide? We're supposed to be seeing one of the paintings here?
Yeah, I'm going to stop and reload this because everything has disappeared off my computer. I apologize for this technical glitch, but hopefully I'll be right back.
Okay, and just so you know, Val, if you want me to load them, I can.
Yes, that would be helpful if you could do that now.
Now, should I show mine?
Okay. No, I'm back.
Okay, okay.
So, okay, don't know what went wrong. There was a lot of beeping on my computer, so I do apologize. So there is the missing slide back. So very happy about that. Okay, let me just collect myself, ground myself, and put my feet back on the ground, find where I am. Okay, so we were rooted in ceremony. Our first gathering was held virtually and in person. So all members of the tribe could meet each other and get to know each other before arriving at Springbrook Retreat Center. The second gathering was 4 days, where each day was started with ceremony, where an eagle watched over us. We feasted together, we shared medicines, we were in nature, we were sharing knowledge using circles, and our end of day closings. We tried to hold our third gathering virtually because of COVID, and our ancestors spoke. For many reasons, our tribe didn't gather. Some slept in, others' technology wouldn't work, and some forgot. Our tribe said that this work must be done on the land and in person. We are honoring that, and once we hold the third gathering, we will be able to share with you the completed canvases and the messages of wellness. From my family teachings, I learned that baskets were a very important part of our way of life. We used them to collect and carry water, medicines, and foods. At our first opening at Springbrook, Elder Sheila blanketed the women, and I was going to give the women a handmade basket made by Joan Ryan, a Tsimshian from Tsimshian Nation and weaver, and she made these out of seagrass and cedar. With these baskets, we recognized and respected the very diverse teachings each tribe member carried from gathering and offerings to the land. I was walking down in a hallway when an ancestor spoke to me. I was told that this ceremony of the gifting of the baskets that we were going to use for collecting and offerings and the holding of medicines was not mine to do. That Angela, our principal investigator, and our very true ally, this was to be her journey. I was to be a witness to the ceremony. This was connecting our tribe. What happened next is really hard to put into words, as it was very emotional, spiritual, and heartfelt. To witness her reaction and the faces of the women upon receiving this gift was truly allyship guided by our ancestors. Our responsibility is to build the road so others can travel them. We must indigenize our research from beginning to conclusion. We're using the word, indigenizing, rather than decolonizing our research, as we were here before colonists. And indigenizing is strength-based with a foundation of positivity. Our first collective canvas spoke to us of earth medicines. We had a medicine table that had medicines, herbs, teas, bear grease, devil's club, bear root, tobacco, lavender, and much more, including cloth and leather. We shared these medicines and they were available throughout. And one example of using our medicine table was a tribe member had a headache, and instead of going to the first aid kit for Tylenol or Advil, she used her earth medicines and her headache went away. And the question that we asked our tribe was, how do you use Indigenous medicines and ceremony in your health and healing? And I'd also like you to take a moment and to think of this question and how you would answer this. You can write this down on the paper in front of you or share it in the chat box with the rest of us. So let's just take a moment. And how do you use Indigenous medicines and ceremony in your health and healing? And to know that water and air are all medicines that have been gifted to us. Becky, are there any comments?
Not yet. I think people are still thinking. Oh, we have one, breath work.
Becky, maybe
And
for those
swimming.
that maybe, sorry to interrupt, swimming. Maybe for those that don't know, maybe you could direct them to where the chat box icon is or what it looks like.
Oh, yes, of course. If you go to the GoToMeeting control panel that pops up when you first sign in, there's a little icon that says chat. And if you click on it, you should be able to type a message right in there. And we have some other really thoughtful answers coming in. Someone offers tobacco daily, giving thanks to Creator that they walk another day on our mother, walk in nature, river bath, using essential oils, working in the garden and touching the dirt, gardening, using the water root to help with sore throats or cough, being near water and feeling the energy of water in waves, drinking more water, long walks in the forest, daily smudges, Devil's Club bark for pain, deep breathing, more garden work, water play with the toddler, walking among the cedar forest and breathing in the warm smell of cedar on a summer day, swimming in a lake, being barefoot, full moon ceremony, prayer water ceremony, drumming, singing, smudging, listening to people with clear ears. A lot of really wonderful answers.
Wow, thank you so much for participating, and those beautiful words are lifting my spirits. So after reading the women's words while looking at the collective canvas, which we had called Earth Medicines, it is now titled, It's a Journey, Earth Medicine Wheel. So why water? Water is lifeblood. Without water, nothing would live, and we are living around the Salish Sea. Water is fluid, ever-changing, takes on many forms, from rain, dewdrops, ice or fog, and many more. Water is adaptable and can change a stone into sand. Water can hear you, and water has memory. And water will always balance itself, no matter where it is. A great teaching to learn from is a quote from Ellen White. Water will agree to help you with anything you ask of it. When you take the water off the body, you cannot call in the spiritual energies. Without water in our bodies, we are dead. Not only because of the dehydration that happens in the physical domain, but because of a lack of the spirit energy that signifies life. And the question we asked for the water canvas was, how would you love to vision your healthcare? So again, we invite you to take a moment to think about this question. And again, either write your answer or add it to the chat box. And Becky will happily read some of the answers.
I'll actually be reading on Becky's behalf. She's just helping Debbie call in.
Okay.
So the question she's written, as you've said it, Val, how would you love to vision your own healthcare? So I think folks just pondering for a moment. So our own healthcare as non-judgmental, having multiple services located in one place, having, so fast, grounded in, look at this, Becky was very good at this, it's coming so fast. Empathetic, like water in the shower, washing away pain, collaborative, respectful and understanding, safe, loving and listening healthcare providers. Doctors who listen to me because I know my own body, a clinician with a holistic approach, compassionate, easy to navigate, knowledgeable provider, so I don't always have to be the expert of my own health, flexible, patient-centered care, which respects each culture and identity. Love it.
Okay, thank you. And those are beautiful visions, and I hope they all come true. And after reading the transcripts and with the visual collective canvas, the voices summed it all up. My body knows a thing or two about my health. Water wheel visioning. Our next canvas explored bumps and falls in healthcare. Oh, here we go again. I am so sorry. I don't know what's up with my computer. Okay. I think it just might be overheating. Okay.
You can see.
Yeah, it's not. Let's see if it comes up again. There we go. So I guess we'll just have technical difficulties today. So the question we asked, what bumps and falls did you experience in your healthcare? And again, you know what we're asking. If you would like to think about this for a moment and maybe some experiences you may have had, and if you're comfortable, you can add them to the chat box. What's wrong with your computer? Have we got anything in the chat box?
Yeah, so we're starting to get some in. We have difficulty finding ongoing care by one provider, not being listened to, being rushed out the door and sometimes yelled at or dismissed, not being understood, having experiences invalidated, delays in access, assumptions versus asking questions, extremely long wait times for specialists, sex-negative clinicians, providers that are unwilling to admit that they don't know or are inflexible. Couldn't find a doctor when moved to the reserve. Assumptions based on appearance. Delayed diagnosis of a condition which had consequences. Slightly judging. Being told to do things that didn't work for me or were unrealistic. Not being taken seriously, being passed over, especially when trying to get care for a child. Not receiving expected calls because of either service provider or technical difficulties. Wellness needs to be honored in workplaces and schools, all levels of community. Inappropriate and disrespectful comments and stigmatization. Not listening when I know things aren't working for my body. Wow, so many great reflections.
Thank you. And from Bumps and Falls, it's now titled Culture Denied. We then had a reflection pool. And the question we asked, what supported you to get through these bumps and falls? And again, I think you know what we're asking. And the women had the opportunity to write their answers on canoes, and then they placed them on the reflection pool. So we invite you to put what may have supported you through bumps and falls. We saw many names, we saw pets, we saw many, such a variety of supports.
And we're already getting some reflections in using your voice, your own research. Grandma Val. Self-forgiveness, peer support, dance, peer navigators, grounding techniques, venting with friends, yoga, family peers, loved one support, getting support from peers, stop team, navigators, my family.
Oh, thank you. Brought tears to my eyes. And from reflection pool, it now became the canoes of reflection. Bear paw, courage. Courage is represented by the bear. The mother bear has the courage and strength to face her fears and challenges while protecting her young. The bear also shows us how to live a balanced life with rest, survival, and play. To face life with courage is to know bravery. Find your inner strength to face the difficulties of life and the courage to be yourself. Defend what you believe in and what is right for your community, family, and self. Make positive choices and have conviction in your decisions. Face your fears and allow yourself to live your life. The bear stands tall to remind us of the teachings of courage. Listen to your heart. It takes courage to do what is right. After the teachings of the bear and courage, we ask this question. Think of a symbol that represents your inner strength. We invite you to think of that symbol. You can draw it on your paper, or you can write the words on your paper or the words in the chat box.
All right, and someone said a wolf, a bird's nest, a turtle, fire, a bridge, ham because I call my son Hambros, a flower, a candle. Beautiful symbols. A lotus. My hair reminds me of the braided sweetgrass.
Oh,
Beautiful.
thank you so much. And from Bear Paw Strengths, the title we now have and saw and came loud and clear was Children of the Bear Tribe. Rivers of change. It takes courage to make change. And like the teachings of the sweetgrass told to me by my grandfather, we cannot do this alone. When you pull on a single strand of sweetgrass, it'll break. If you braid it, it becomes stronger. Each bundle of strands in the braid represents mind, body, heart, and spirit. And you must use all three together in your daily living, or your life will not have balance. And the question we asked for the Rivers of Change was, think of a message that you would like to share with your healthcare providers. What would you say?
All right, some strong messages coming in. Listening works both ways. Listen up, I know my body. See me as a whole person that is complex. You may be big, I may be small, but I'm a person too. Treat me please with dignity, and that's how I'll treat you.
Thank you. And you can keep adding these messages because they are so powerful and important. And the name from Rivers of Change is now Water Women Rising. To me, that is such a strong visual. Water, women, and rising. While in our sharing circle, where the women were telling their histories of bumps and falls in their healthcare, this, as you can imagine, was very powerful, yet we could all feel the hurt and the anger. When all of a sudden four-leggeds came by the window, we all went to look and take pictures and watch them as they watched us. Nature had taken care of us. The energy shifted and the session went on with spirits lifted and hearts free. And to know that our elder was always with us, always reading the room, caring for us, and held us in ceremony. And here we go again. I really apologize. This did not happen in the dry run through, just to let you know. As we did ceremony throughout the gathering, we continued having ceremony back at the offices. Before reading the tribe's words or looking at the collective canvases, we always started with ceremony. We brought with us medicines, sage, sweetgrass, cedar, tobacco, and/or lavender, an eagle feather, and our ceremonial blanket, which you saw with the fish on it. And we listened to a song by Alex Turtle and Shanoa Igawa, Song to the Elements, or their water song. We also listened to the Algonquin water song written by Wahawachi Jerome. One day, we thought we were running behind. We rushed ceremony and only had the feather and the sage in the room. No work could be done. Nothing would come to us. We even struggled with reading the words, and we continued to struggle. We then said, stop. We need to go back to ceremony. We grounded ourselves. We listened to the Song of the Elements, and we all felt the whole room change. It was so powerful that the energy actually hugged us, and we all had goosebumps. And then the words spoke to us, and we could do our work in a good way. For those working in research, we use these Western words. And about after a month of working with the voices and visuals from the women, we had a meeting with Angela, and you should have seen her face when we told her we didn't have a code book. After a few minutes of letting her be flustered and confused, we gave her our Indigenous words of doing. The code book now became the vessel that honors the voices. Themes are now streams. Sub-themes are chapters we call creeks. Dramatic analysis is honoring voices. Knowledge translation and exchange is now around the fire. And the vessels that honor the women's voices, and these are some of what came out of it, were traditional medicines and ways of knowing, our healing. Health is connected with nature and is a circle. Protection came up loud and clear. Gifts, the journey, blood memories, consequences of colonialism, teachings, community, two-eyed seeing, and the tug of war between Western and Indigenous ways. We did many activities in the 4 days for self-care. This one was Life in a Jar. And as we were doing this exercise, one of the tribe saw the sand go around the heart, or go around the rock and actually form a heart. Some of the sand spilled on the table and it formed a heart. And many of us found heart-shaped rocks or even a heart inside of a rock. We all had collected grandfather rocks, and we wrote on them, some of them, a word of encouragement. And when we went out on our rocks, or walk, we would leave that rock somewhere for someone else to find in the future if they needed that word. We're now going to do a quick little exercise, and I'm going to have Becky demonstrate. But first of all, I would like you to draw a circle on your paper and write these 4 words: heart, mind, body, and spirit. Okay, and now if you can see Becky, she'll wave her hand so you can know who she is. I would like you to hold your pencil above the circle. And if you're comfortable, close your eyes. If you're not comfortable, just look away from your paper. I want you to think inward. Think of your body. Think of your spirit. Think of your heart. Acknowledge your mind. Scan your body up and down. And when you're in tune with your body, slowly bring the pencil down with your eyes still closed to the paper. And when it touches the paper, slowly open your eyes and look at the word that your pencil is closest to. This is what your body is telling you that you need to balance your life. When I first did mine, I landed on spirit, and I thought, that can't be right. I'm connected with my creator and really spiritual. Just can't be right. And then my ancestors said, don't question this. You need to think about it. And I sat there thinking about my spirit and myself, and I realized that it had been many days that I had not done a smudge to feed my spirit. So this is just a quick little exercise to keep yourself balanced. And sometimes we don't know what our body needs, but our spirit can take over and tell us. Thank you for participating in this. I'm going back to my grandfather's words of mind, body, heart, and spirit. We must use our mind, body, and heart together, and it's the spirit that holds it all together. When I have used the word emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual in workshops, I have found that some participants have barriers to these words. An example, when we were doing our wellness balance wheel, some got activated by the word emotional, as a caregiver had used that against them. And the word mental seemed to carry stigma and discrimination for others. When I asked what you would put in your balance wheel for physical, I got answers like walking, running, dancing, or swimming. When I used the word body, I got those same answers, but I got much more, like massage, eating a good meal, drinking water, giving a hug, sex, and a manicure. I invite you to put words and actions in your balance wheel and to know that they could go under more than one. For me, if I was to put the word cedar on my wheel, it would go under spirit, as I use it for letting go. It would also be put under body, for I use it in my bath and I drink cedar tea. I would also put it in mind, for it helps to give me clarity. And in that wheel in front of you, where would you put relationships? Where might you put hugs? Where would you put water? Now we can visually see that they are all connected. Gosh. And my computer is saying it's had enough. When I do PowerPoint presentations, I have all the words and add a picture or diagram. On this journey, the pictures came first, and the voices of our tribe and our ancestors easily flowed and guided this work to indigenize our research. If you remember the slide of Rivers of Change, with the blanket with the two fish were mouth to mouth. I had put the slide in the deck, and like the words just came, and it was so appropriate. And thank you to Becky for seeing that. This picture was taken by Angela of Becky and myself at the end of our second gathering. We set up the room with all the canvases, so when the women came in the morning, this is what they saw, and we had our tribe's closing circle. And now I invite you to share with us one word that describes taking this journey. And I thank you for participating and listening, even through all the glitches of our presentation. So Becky, if there's any words that come up.
We have some words coming in: beautiful, grounding, courage, honored, grateful, powerful, rooted, flow, grounding, vulnerability, uplifting, deep, openness, teaching, and strength, gratitude, like a branch on a tree, loved by the community, chrysalis, insightful, thankful, beautiful words to describe the journey, connection, passionate, awakening. Wonderful. Thank you everyone so much for sharing those words.
And thank you. And you can contact us if you have any questions. And to let you know that all the pictures that were shown, except for the petroglyph, were taken at Springbrook, where we did our work out on Kwantlen Territories. And at least I know how to correct these slides now. And
Val, it's okay. We're with you. You know, when it shows up, and we're happy to see it. But we're with you. Don't worry about it.
I'm just letting it happen, but I know how to correct it now, so I'm not panicking. So I would like to raise our hands up to our funders, CIHR, the AHA Center, and Simon Fraser University. All my relations, Ellen. And I am going to actually take it off of this because it's again the water, and it must be. I'm going to turn it over to Becky, as this is a time for questions and sharing and some other words of wisdom. So Becky.
Great. Thank you so much, Valerie, for this incredibly beautiful presentation. You've taken us on such a wonderful journey, and the words and the teachings are so beautiful. And I also want to thank everyone so much for participating so fully throughout the presentation. I know I've learned a lot. And so now we have time for questions, reflections, and comments. I just want to start off by also giving gratitude and recognition to Debbie Cardinal, a member of our research team who was not able to make it to the presentation today. But we just want to take a moment to recognize all of the incredible passion, love, and support that she's given to the team, and the incredible work that she's done with CHIWOS-PAW. So we've had a few questions come in, and I encourage you, if you do have any questions, you can continue to add them to the chat box, and I'll add them to the question list. But Valerie, I'll ask you the first question. What made you passionate about changing the way that we do research? Oh, Val, I don't know. We can't hear you.
You're on mute. Oh, there you go.
My computer completely shut down. Hello?
Did you hear the question?
No, my
Okay.
computer completely shut down, so I was not even here.
Oh, okay, I'll repeat the first question. What made you passionate about changing the way that we do research?
That is a very, very good question. What made me passionate? I think it was just a fire that was burning in me. When I became working in research, it just had to be on a journey where it needed to go, and this fire just kept building in me, and I just was guided, I think, by my ancestors, by Mother Earth, and I just knew it had to be done.
Beautiful, thank you. And what makes a researcher or community partnership work?
Also a brilliant question. Trust. I think trust above anything, because if there isn't trust as a foundation, it just doesn't work. I think I'll leave it at that.
Great.
As the computer's acting really weird again.
If you had one piece of advice to give researchers or to people who wanted to work with Indigenous women, what would it be?
Ask a lot of questions. If you don't know, it's okay. It's a two-way street, is to teach and to learn and teach. Is just accept what you might not think is right, but to accept. I guess being a history teller, when something on my body was cured and it wasn't done by Western ways, my doctor actually asked me questions about it. She actually questioned me and respected that I believed in what happened to me and how it worked. And I think that's the best thing you can do in life and with research, is just be acceptance of what we don't know and to learn from it.
Great, thank you so much, Val. And this next question ties in really nicely. How do you build trust between community and researchers or research?
One step at a time. Have a good foundation before you move on to the next. So I look at it as rocks in a stream. You step on that first rock, and if it's off balance, don't go any further until you're solid, and build that relationship one step at a time.
Beautiful, thank you. And what would be your message that you want to share with healthcare providers?
Oh, my message is, see me as a human first. Do not see me as my HIV. Respect me as an Indigenous woman, and to be a partner in that relationship of healthcare provider. And some days I want to be a patient, and there's some days when I want to be a partner, and to respect that journey.
Thank you. I think that that's such an important message. What are the next steps that you're hoping to do with the CHIWOS-PAW project?
Next step is to hold our gathering, to bring our women, our tribe together, to go over all the words of wellness, to work together on how we're going to bring it out to community, out to the healthcare providers, out to all those that are wanting this knowledge and those that are needing this knowledge. And again, one step at a time, because as we complete that journey or work on that journey, the next one will present ourselves. So I can't say what we'll do after that, because it will come to us in a good way.
Thank you, Val. Yeah, I think that's one lesson that we've learned as a team, is that we have to be open to how we're being guided and what our steps are. We've also had some comments come in, just really thanking you for this absolutely beautiful presentation, that you've created a really nurturing space to share and to participate. Do you have any advice or any tips for how you created such a nurturing presentation, which we all know can be so challenging, especially in a virtual setting?
It came from the heart, was guided by the spirit. The women's voices were always in my head. Teamwork and ceremony. Ceremony was such a big part throughout this, and throughout the process.
Thank you. And we have another question. Someone wants to know how it changed the research project to have terms like code book in your own words and the words of the tribe.
Can you repeat that again so I can digest that one?
Yes, absolutely. So she wants to know how it changed the research project to have terms like code book in your own words and the words of the tribe. So after indigenizing the language, how did it change the research project?
I don't believe it changed the research project at all, and that's a very good question. I really believe that the research project changed research. So our project actually changed the research ways of doing. When we had codebook, it didn't feel right. It didn't fit with us. It just didn't work. When we changed the name, everything just became fluid and just came to us in such a gentle way. When we were using Western words, it just seems that there was like this blockade from really developing the research. And I don't know why I'm saying have a great meeting all of a sudden here, but yeah, so actually, I think this research is going to change the way that we do research in the future. At least it will, for me, it will.
Thank you, and I think it will for many on the call as well. A lot of really interesting and important points to bring forward. Someone's asking if you can repeat or go into the question a bit deeper on how you develop trust.
Ah, very good question. Thank you. Developing trust for me is very organic. It happens. I think it stems from the way I was brought up with no trust in my life. So trust did not come easily to me. It was hard for me to trust those that, and I don't say this in a mean way or a bad way, for those that were doing research. It came to me that through teaching and showing them the ways that maybe they weren't doing it in the right way helps to build trust. And for me, it's very gentle and it takes a long time. I put up barriers. That's me. I put up barriers, and until I trust you, I don't open up my heart very often. So trust, again, is one step at a time, and trusting my heart and spirit, and really using ceremony with my ancestors, because they help to guide me in the right way, and actually show me what trust really is, I guess. I'm sorry, that's a weird way of answering it, but and trust is different with each person. And it's like, again, it's that one step at a time and knowing who you're with. I know that probably didn't help at all, but that's all I got.
I think that's, oh, sorry, go ahead, Angela.
I just wanted to give Val a moment, you know, to just feel what she's feeling right now with all of these amazing questions and comments. I also just want to add something from the perspective as a person who's practicing allyship in this trust building process. And I don't have the answer, but I think that I think these are the critical questions that everyone is asking, is like, how do you develop trust? How do you start working with new ways of knowing that might be new to you, but aren't necessarily new to others? How do you create trust and equality and equity and in your research environment? And I think the only thing that I can really say about that is I think every member of our team adheres to the concept that love is a verb, and really it's a daily practice. It's an effort at every meeting. It's an effort at with every email, with every phone call, with every discussion of research objectives and approaches. And it's very literally at every action thoughtfulness or mindfulness. And that's something that I'll just say for myself, that I am continually learning and trying to practice as part of our group. And I've learned actually so much from many of the familiar faces on this call. And I do really want to acknowledge that the work that's being built in Canada, in the Canadian context, Carrie Martin is the one who's gathered us all here today. That's been years and years and years of groundwork. And I really just want to acknowledge that we are able to even have this conversation because of the work that other women largely have done in this space. So, Val, I think your words are just so spot on. And I just wanted to share from my perspective as somebody practicing allyship, somebody who's not an Indigenous woman, is not a woman living with HIV, just honoring the space that those of you on this call have given us to learn and collaborate and work together with you.
Thank you for those words.
Great. Thank you so much. So Valerie, how do you separate being a peer and a researcher?
I don't. I don't. They are all interwoven. It's just me, and I'm all these things, but I'm a human first. So they're all part of me. It's all been a part of the journey that I've taken. They're all interwoven. They cannot be separated. When I do my research, I look at it so I can look at research from many different lenses. I can look at it from a woman that is Indigenous. I look at it as a woman that has been a drug user. I can look at it as a woman that has been homeless. I bring that living experience. I look at it from now my research. So, and it has been a journey because I have felt that I do not have a degree. I have not gone to university. I have brought the living experience, not the booked learning. So I cannot separate peer and researcher because they're all intertwined and woven together. And just like a basket, it just keeps being woven, going up, and I just keep filling that basket with knowledge.
That's beautiful, Val. Thank you. And so what a beautiful image of continuing to grow and to weave all of the wisdoms and teachings that you gather. And we're so grateful that you're also so willing to share so much of that with us as well. So we have time for a couple more questions. Valerie, can you talk a little bit about how you integrated ceremony throughout the data analysis process?
So like we shared, thank you for that question. Like we shared, we had our own little room where we'd go. We always opened with ceremony. We always acknowledged the women's voices. We would acknowledge those that have gone on before us. We would have a prayer, a song. Like I said, even when we traveled to Burnaby Mountain, which is way up at the SFU campus, we would bring all of our ceremony materials with us, from the eagle feather to the smudge, the blanket. It all had to travel together because it was grown together. And so we integrated ceremony at all the time, anytime that we could do it. And if work wasn't going well, or like we said, we were struggling, we would just stop and we would reground ourselves or wrap ourselves in the blanket, go outside and do a smudge. We were guided so much by ceremony and ancestors that the work just wouldn't be done if it wasn't right and the grounding. And I think it was a way that it needed to be done to honor the women that gave up so much of their time to be with us and to share their most personal histories and to be open with us and to do this beautiful artwork. It was our responsibility to make sure that all of that was held with the highest respect and just surrounded in ceremony. And that was the road that we had to build, and to honor and just to honor those women's voices and what they gave, and how that we're going to continue to work together.
Thank you so much, Val. And we have another question that just came in. How does trauma-informed care fit into CHIWOS-PAW?
Can I turn that over to Angela, please?
Of course. Yeah, thank you for that great question. We're actually adapting to using the language of trauma-aware care. And I'd be curious to learn more from others and how they think about this. And part of that language change is that, I don't think it's not necessary that all of us become experts in trauma-informed care, but really ensuring that we're all grounded in the awareness of how much trauma women have experienced, are experiencing, how deep that trauma is, how the systems that we've created are the legacies and ongoing effects of residential school systems, of colonization. That has created intergenerational trauma, and it's imperative that we're all aware of that as researchers, right? We don't all need to have sophisticated training in how to address trauma, but we do need that awareness. And part of how trauma-aware care is integrated into CHIWOS-PAW is about ceremony, as Val has described, and it is about ensuring that we have Elder Sheila as an integral member of our team. So she is an Indigenous elder, but she's also a trained social worker with decades of experience providing care for women experiencing violence, women experiencing trauma. And so she does have that professional and trained experience in addition to her work as an Indigenous elder. So we bring that expertise. We're very, I guess, mindful of ensuring that expertise is part of our team, part of all of the research that we do, and we make sure that our participants and all team members know that Elder Sheila is available to them before, during, and after the research experience. Because we all know that as part of engaging in deep research, we're asking our participants to really share a lot of themselves. And the process of doing that, of course, can bring up a lot of challenges, a lot of memories, a lot of trauma. And often in the research process, we sort of bring that up and then we say, if you have any problems, like here's a brochure, like call this person, thanks a lot, we'll see you later. But I think being engaged in trauma-aware research means that we need different systems and supports in place. So working with Elder Sheila as part of our team has been, I think, transformative for how we approach the research, how we engage with participants, how we provide information back to our participants, and that has been valuable, as I said, not like to our participants, but also to us as team members, right? So as we are going through this work, whether it's Valerie, myself, Becky, Debbie, as we're going through this work, a lot comes up, and we know that we have Sheila as a resource for us to consult with. I hope that answers your question.
Great, thank you so much, Angela. And I see that we're getting close to the end of time. So we have one more question that came in. And then I would also encourage, if there are any questions, any comments that come up after the presentation, or if there's any questions that we didn't have a chance to get to, please don't hesitate to get in touch with myself, with Valerie, and we're happy to continue the conversation on. So the last question, how are elders and cultural supports vetted, especially in this time of Me Too?
I don't think I'm the best one to answer that question. Is Elder Sheila still with us?
I think she was joining back in.
Maybe she's not here yet. Wow, that is a brilliant question, as all of them have been very brilliant, and I thank you for all of them. Wow. I just need a moment to really think about that. I think it has to be, and I don't know if this is really what answer you're maybe looking for, maybe I'm misunderstanding, is that we also need to support our elders in this time, because our elders have supported us so much, and to really keep our elders safe. And you know, it's a lot on their shoulders. It's a lot of ceremony. It's a lot of time that they give us. And for me, I think it's just, we really need to support our elders. And I'm not sure what is meant by cultural supports, but you know, for me, if an elder was out of something that they may need, like they didn't have access to one of the medicines, I would make sure that they got them, that was sent to them as soon as I could. Angela, I'm going to beg somebody to help me on this.
No, I mean, I think it's a great question, and I think across any community engaged research projects, this becomes a really critical question, because how do we identify those people who were offering as supports to participants and ensuring that they're not going to go on to cause additional harm? So I don't have the answer. I think it's an ongoing, I think it's an ongoing process, and it's an ongoing kind of community discussion, reaching out, working together, you know, getting to know more people in the community. We're trying to avoid, as Chimamanda has told us, you know, the problem of the single story. And so ensuring that we have enough voices and enough participants, a broad enough community that we can rely on not just one person as a representative, but a community of people.
Yeah.
So I think, Keisha, that's the answer I can give right now. And if we're happy to, it's a great question, and I would love to talk about it a bit more with you and your expertise.
Yeah, and to know that community is built on trust, and those that we work with, that we've worked with, you know, and trust them, our elders that we've worked with, and we have built that relationship.
Great, thank you, Valerie and Angela. And we also have some great discussion in the chat box as well, sharing that it also takes time in working with people. Actions speak louder than words, and it takes time to develop trust. So thank you for that great question and that great discussion. I think it's a really important one that will continue forward in all of the work that we do. And I wanted to say again, thank you so much for submitting all of those great questions. And I entered my email into the chat box. So again, please feel free to send me any further questions directly, and we're happy to follow up. Just before we turn it over to Elder Sheila to officially close us, Valerie, I think it's very evident throughout the presentation that you gave, the really beautiful and thoughtful answers that you've given to the questions and the discussions that you've created, and that I know a lot of people will leave here today thinking quite deeply about. And so I'm wondering if you can share with us what word describes the journey for you?
You know, I can't do one word. Never have. wow, connected to our tribe, connected to Mother Earth, connected to the water, connected to the teachings. So my word would be connected. And I would like to leave one last thought for all of you to remember. As we're all teachers, we are learners. And as learners, we are teachers. And to keep that circle going. I honor and thank each one of you for listening today.
Wow. I hope you'll all join me in virtually giving Val a round of applause. Val, if you can hear these loud, loud claps.
Thank you so much.
And I'll just say, I mean, honestly, somebody else has said this on the call, but I think we're all a bit tired of only connecting virtually, but I just feel like this approach that's engaged and everybody providing their comments has just really been so heartwarming for our team. I think connected, Val, is the perfect word. And I'll just say this was Val's idea to do this audience kind of interactive approach. And I think it really worked wonderfully, Val. I feel energized, whereas usually after an hour and a half on these calls, you feel like, oh.
Thank you. So I'm hoping Elder Sheila is back. Can we text her, someone? She opened this and I guess while we're waiting for her, I just want to say, and I think Angela spoke to me about this, that every picture had many meanings to it. And at the very beginning, you saw the fire for the fireside chat. And here, our ending slide, which I hope my screen is sharing, you see the smudge bowl. The fire has slowly gone out, and we see the ashes of our medicines, which carries our prayers and memories. And it's come full circle of this fireside chat. And thank you. And we'll wait for Elder Sheila. I'd also like to thank Becky for doing all this work, for Angela for keeping this going and your kind words, Elder Sheila for grounding us at the beginning. Thank you for whoever helped me figure out the technology when my computer decided to crash today and actually completely shut down. And I thank those that waited to the almost last slide. It was the last slide before my computer decided that it needed a rest. I think it was just drawing so much energy from this meeting. So here I am trying to, I can't sing and I can't dance, but I'm trying to entertain you till Sheila gets here. Again, thank you for the kind words and questions and taking this journey. And I'll make sure that Can gets a clear set of the slides, not the ones that were recorded today, which really, I guess, just added to the to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is Sheila here?
She's trying to get back in. I've been texting.
Okay. Oh, and thank you, Carrie. I'm sorry, I forgot to thank you for Fireside Chats, for organizing this, the posters, for getting the word out. Job very well done. Thank you, Can.
Thank you.
And thank you to everyone who supports and does research and even participates in research.
Oh, I can see her. There she is. Hi. Woohoo! Just in time.
Sheila, we invite you to close this session of the Fireside Chat of the CHIWOS-PAW. Water is at the heart.
Grandmothers, grandfathers and spirits of the four directions. Lem Lem, Lem Lem. Thank you for the honor of your presence. Lem Lem, thank you to all of the ancestors that came here today, all of the ancestors that walk with each of us, and all of the ancestors across this great Turtle Island from coast to coast. Lem Lem, thank you for supporting this process, this presentation. Help each one of us to hold in our hearts and in our minds as they stay connected into the things that we have learned today. Help each one of us to grow and develop and nurture these teachings, these learnings. Lem Lem, thank you for the organizers. Lem Lem for Val, keeping her safe, keeping her strong. Look after our families. I want to thank our families for allowing us to be a way to do this work together. I want to send special blessings and warmth and healing to the women who participated, who helped to bring this knowledge from their depths out into the circle so that it could be shared the way that it has been today. Watch over our brothers and sisters who are struggling. Help them remember who they are. Go with each of us now and keep us safe and keep us wise. All my relations.
All my relations. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, bye. I'm gonna actually beat the drum.